Hello and welcome to Bronze Age Monsters, the show where we wade into the weirdest and wildest waters of the comic books of the 1970s. This season on B.A.M, we're covering the brief life of Atlas Seaboard Comics, the publishing venture of Martin Goodman that some say was a middle finger to Marvel and Stan Lee. Revenge is a dish best served in 4 colors. I'm Matt Howell.
I'm Jacob Malcolm.
Thanks for joining us this week. Jacob, I'm having a cocktail. Are you having any cocktail?
I'm not having a cocktail. I've been pretty ill, so I'm on a lot of drugs. So I don't want to.
Okay, can I have a cocktail for you?
Yes, please have a cocktail for me.
I'll tell you what I'm having. You'll appreciate this. I'm calling this is the Uncle Bill. This is peppermint schnapps with Sprite on the rocks and great gobs of it.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. So
you got to love Uncle Bill.
Yeah. So that's folks, that's a reference to American Movie, one of I think Jacob and I's favorite documentaries.
Jesus Loves You.
Jesus Loves You.
What would you like, man?
Well, I like to have peppermint schnapps with Sprite and ice in it, and 2 gobs of it. Got a good taste.
Yeah, I bought some peppermint schnapps around Christmas time because I wanted to try an Uncle Bill. I've seen that documentary probably 20 times, and I've always wondered what does peppermint schnapps and Sprite taste like. I'm not actually having a true one. I had one that was way too sweet for me, so I use seltzer. So it's basically a candy cane seltzer. That's really strong booze.
Kind of sounds okay.
It's all right. It's all right. It was that or like peanut butter whiskey. I didn't want to get into the good stuff, you know.
Oof.
It's Monday. So
yeah,
somebody gave us some peanut butter whiskey as a gag gift or something, so it's just like way in the back. But I didn't want to open any Westward or anything, so
no. Yeah, people love that peanut butter whiskey. I mean, not people I respect, but people that exist in this world.
Yeah, dogs love peanut butter.
Yeah. I only respect your dog. I only respect Callie.
It's funny because she only respects you. So
yep.
She sends her regards, by the way.
I appreciate it.
Oh, and she told me to tell you something.
Yeah.
She said you know what it meant.
I do, and it's a little dirty. It's kind of just between us, actually.
I prefer it that way. Thanks for not telling me.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, so Jacob, we are here to sally on our journey through the #1 issues of Atlas Seaboard. And this week we're talking about the Destructor. I feel like it should be the Destructor, but I'm sure it's just the Destructor. But #1. And
we're not going to say Destructor?
Yeah, let's say Destructor.
I don't give a shit. I think we should.
Okay. I say Destructor, but then it sounds weird when I say it out loud. So I called an audible and went back.
This is our show. We get to decide this stuff.
Show. We do whatever the fuck we want. Okay.
That's right.
It's the Destructor. And through blogs, that comic book artist #16, all different places, I have always heard that this was one of the good ones. That's one of the good ones.
Yeah.
It had a great team. Right? It had Archie Goodwin, Steve Ditko, Wallace Wood. And it was considered one of the like Chaykin's The Scorpion, one of the top shelf ones that was like we're going places. This is one of our we're gonna hook our wagon to the star and take down the big 2.
Yep, that was the plan.
And this is one of the ones that ran for 4 issues. So it had backing all the way through the venture until they folded completely.
Yeah, and I know we'll talk about it at the end, but wow. Issue 4 is it's like every issue 4 is it's a totally different comic.
Yes. And I did want to do a little show and tell with you when we do that. Talk about issue 4 because about Conway versus Ditko and what Conway scripted and what Ditko gave him. Because if you recall, we bought some books from a friend of mine a time back called Mysterious Traveler, Steve Ditko and the Search for a New Liberal Identity. And I looked up Destructor because I was curious what Zach Crucy. Folks, if you are interested in Steve Ditko at all, buy this book. This is hardcore academic book about Ditko's philosophy, life philosophy, philosophy of the arts. Very well researched and like serious academic stuff. It's amazing. But I'll read a little thing from here about Conway, what Conway wrote and what Ditko gave him, because it's kind of funny. Yeah, so I guess Conway was the Friedrich of this title, who came in at the end and completely changed direction and said, "We'll see you next month," and no one ever did. Yeah. Is there any other business we want to talk about?
Not that I can think of. Yeah, I think we should just jump into the Destructor.
Okay. All right, I'm going to pull this up then. I feel like the sillies are going to be coming on tonight. In case people
that's okay.
Can't tell. Okay. So, yeah, we have a cover here that is by Larry Lieber, right? Mm-hmm. And Wally Wood. I call him Wallace. We've said this before on the show. He hated being called Wally, and I try not to call him that, but it's what the entire industry called him. So, can you imagine that? It's like Grimes on The Simpsons, right? Hey, Grimey.
Hey, Grimey. Yep, everyone calls you Grimey. Yeah, what a nightmare existence.
Yes. Yes, this was cover dated February, so this is the second wave of books that came out, and yeah. So this cover, I think this is a striking cover. It's obviously Lieber in the style of Steve Ditko, and if you're just listening, by the way, if you are just listening, I think we've made this clear this season, but did you know we're a YouTube show now? We are. And we show pictures, and I insert stuff after the fact. So if I make mistakes or something, I correct them on screen. So there's a whole layer of stuff going on, including the actual art that we're talking about, because comics are a visual medium. And this is, if you're listening to a podcast, it's an audio. I mean, come on, guys, let's be honest. It's an audio format. So I urge you to go to YouTube and watch the YouTube video. But I understand if you got to walk the dog or make dinner, whatever. But so I will describe it to you folks. We have the character in question here punching through a brick wall, and there's a nice sense of depth here. Like in the foreground, there's like a Tommy gun. Most of the characters off screen, they're just shooting at him. There's a guy with a mesh mask on and a fedora and a trench coat holding a damsel in distress. Jacob, even if you're not drinking, you have to have something. Damsels in distress, we drink for those. And she's got a groovy outfit on. And I love that our character in question, he's a very classic 1960s, 1970s superhero. He's got a blue bodysuit on with a red belt, red gloves, a blue and red cowl, and red boots. And some people say that he resembles Spider-Man in some ways. I've heard that a lot about this character, but he's punching through here, dodging a hail of bullets and punching a guy out. I love the guy getting punched out. There's another guy cowering. Very exciting cover. Except for the Born of Fury, Sworn to Vengeance, he is the Destructor above the logo. Very clean, right? Not first issue collector's item, not all that stuff they would slap onto second and third issues. And I do love this logo. It's really hard to describe, but it's almost like a Saul Bass, like Saul Bass credits for like Psycho or something like that, like movie credits that Saul Bass would do, that painter. It almost reminds me of that, like kind of weird pop art, postmodern thing. I did a lot of talking. What do you think of this cover?
I love it. I think it's great. I mean, it's definitely in the style of Ditko. But yeah, I like it more than I like Lieber's stuff most of the time, which I'm attributing to Wallace Wood.
Yeah. and Lieber copying Ditko.
And Lieber copying Ditko, yeah. It's so funny. If this was Marvel, I would just be like, is that a Ramita alteration on that girl's face?
Totally. I almost drank for that. I'm going to have a phantom Ramita alteration drink. Even though that's literally impossible.
Yeah, but seriously, like it definitely looks like that.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? You want to jump in?
Yeah, let's do.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so the title of our tale is The Destructor. So, for he is the Destructor. And our cast of characters are written by Archie Goodwin, drawn by Steve Ditko, inked by Wally Wood, edited by Larry Lieber. So let's talk a little bit about the creators. So we know all of these guys, obviously, so I don't need to go into a great history of who they are. So I thought I'd just kind of say what they were doing right around this time. So in 75, Archie Goodwin was kind of floating between companies. He mostly had reprints for his earlier work on stands, except for this issue and another Atlas issue called Savage Combat Tales, featuring Sergeant Stryker's Death Squad. So, which we will be covering.
Yes, we will.
So excited about that. And obviously, Steve Ditko is Steve Ditko. And he also had a lot of reprint stories this month at Marvel. But his only new material is this issue and a story in Charlton's Ghostly Tales 114. It's called The Combatant. And it's summarized in GCD as Asia during the 13th century is a land of living death. So there you go. Check out Ghostly Tales 114 for probably what is not a problematic story in the slightest.
I love Charlton so much, though. Charlton horror books are so good.
They're awesome. I love them too. Every issue that I have, and I don't have a ton. I maybe have like 10, but I fucking love them.
Comfort food.
It is. It's like Velveeta cheese. It's like Rotel. Like, it's not good, but it feels so good.
Yep.
All right. So yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about Wallace Wood, though. I mean, Wallace Wood, he's a comics legend. So, yeah, we know him from his work in Mad Magazine, science fiction horror books of the 50s and 60s. All of his shit is incredible. So his work this month is the cover of this issue and the inks. But let's see. Oh, there was an unpublished story that kind of saw the light of day in limited collector's edition C34. It's a magazine-sized Christmas-themed book that DC did. And yeah, those are his only things out right now. But yeah, Wallace Wood, Matt, as you and I know, he has a bit of a tragic story. His story was pretty tragic for sure. He's just a legendary artist. And but I was reading, so he had like these really like chronic kind of unexplained headaches for the majority of his life, which I'm really interested if anyone eventually is going to kind of just be like, well, maybe it was this, maybe it was this. But yeah, he, he was an alcoholic and he was a pretty heavy drinker. And by this time, by the 70s, he was pretty bad. He had kidney failure. He's going to have a stroke in just 3 years. Like, he had a stroke in 78, lost vision in one of his eye. Yeah, so he wasn't doing great and kind of declined. And he shot and killed himself in LA on November 2nd, 1981. He was 54. And Matt, you've mentioned this before, which is like, yeah, the saddest quote of all time. He said, toward the end of his life, would say, according to one biographer, if I had to do it all over again, I'd cut off my hands. So pretty brutal. It's a very, very brutal end for a really amazing artist.
Yeah, like when people say comics will break your heart, this should be the top of the list of links to research.
Yeah, it should. So I was looking, I don't know if you looked on GCD, it says the colors are by Bob Stewart. Mm-mm. And Bob Stewart was an employee of Wallace Wood Studios. He wrote, drew, and lettered comics. Not a ton of credits, but, he worked on Wit's End and Ghostly Tales, mainly stuff, for Wallace. But he was also he was a filmmaker. He's a TV and film critic, and he wrote the biography that I have of Wallace Wood. It's called Against the Grain, Mad Artist Wallace Wood. And it's published by Fantagraphics in 2003. I highly recommend it.
Oh, I've never read it.
That's really, really great.
The title's a little punny for me, but if you recommend it, I'll still read it.
I would. Yes. Yeah, and GC also, so we have letters by John Duffy, and whose first lettering credit goes all the way back to July of 1948 on Marvel's Annie Oakley.
I've never heard his name before.
No, me neither. But he's done a lot of stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah, but this, I don't know, this opening page is pretty awesome. Like, I opened the comic and I was just like, fuck yeah, Steve Ditko, And it's kind of like what we talked about, whether you like this issue or not, it's still it's Steve Ditko. Yeah. And it's Ditko basically getting an edict from, Goodman, everyone else, just like, make this Spider-Man. He's like, all right. So I honestly think like this might be, one of the closest things we ever got to Ditko kind of recreating what he did in the early 60s, don't you think?
I do. And one thing that confused me throughout this whole thing, and I looked up in Comic Book Artist 16, the brief 2-page thing they had about this title. I was looking for someone to tell me that Ditko plotted this and Goodwin scripted it, but they didn't. But there's so many Ditkoisms in this story that I'm confused.
Yeah, this does not seem like an Archie Goodwin kind of thing. I mean, I don't know though. I mean, it's Goodman. Was Goodman stoked about the Marvel method?
That's a good question.
I don't think Goodman gave a shit about much stuff. But shocking. I mean, I know that, Ditko at this time definitely probably hated Stan Lee more than Martin Goodman, but he didn't like Martin Goodman.
No.
Like, I guess he was kind of better with him, I guess, at least for 4 issues. Less
in Mindy, I guess you would say.
Yeah. And if you got to stick it to Stan, I'm sure he was just like, okay, all right.
That was, that's like in your old TV shows you love as a kid, like when the two enemies team up, whatever to.
Yeah.
I mean, just, like there's elements of this where it's like Ditko self-published stuff with like Mr. A or whatever, where even the Charlton question, where it's like, I'm going to let that guy die. He's a bad guy. Like, there's definitely some of that in here a little bit. And there's just like that kind of fixation on crime bosses and the mob. And it's very Ditko-y. And the way that the father of the main character is treated and revered for his contributions to the sciences and the humanities progress, it's very Ditko.
Yeah, it's so funny though. I mean, you're right. Like even if Goodwin just, did the dialogue is so corny. Mm-hmm. Like crazy corny. Like I really think they were trying in this issue to be like this is ASM 3 or something. Like I was just like, this is crazy. They're out there talking like beatniks.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
It reads like a comic 10 years older than its publishing date.
Easily. And I know a lot of people said that about Ditko, with his work in the 70s, where you're just like, yeah, this is still pretty old fashioned and corny in a lot of ways. Not the art. I mean, the art's always going to be amazing. Yeah.
But like, I wouldn't expect that from Goodwin. Again, that's why I feel like there's a story that's not being told here that, I don't know if Larry Lieber's still around, but I feel like Ditko came up with this or gave him these beats and then Goodwin scripted it.
Well, in that article, it talked about what was the character Wreckage without the K.
And with a W.
Yeah, and with a W. Wreckage. And that was a character that was rejected, right? Just kind of like Alex Toth's character was rejected.
Yes. And in the Destructor piece in there, they were saying, we're not sure if that was the Destructor. It's not. It was a completely different character. Like I read elsewhere, like, no, this is not the same character. Wreckage was a different thing.
So then, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm with you. I don't see Archie Goodwin here hardly at all, honestly. Yeah. It's weird. But I mean, maybe the narration, maybe some of the text, but yeah, it seems like, I don't know, this seems like Ditko through and through.
Yeah, but what a great first page, huh?
Oh, it's amazing. The Destructor's coming right at us, and I love the guns that are coming. EC did this a lot to where, the guns that are facing him, it's almost like we're holding the guns as we're holding the comic. I was like, it's fucking awesome.
And that improbable, only Ditko can do that improbable physical, like where he's about to eat shit. He's running so hard and fast at you. Mm-hmm. And like the hands are like, his fists are like as big as hams. Like I love the way Ditko does physicality of characters.
It's so great. And it's all over this issue.
Yeah. And
it's where like, oh yeah, I loved it.
I mean, I've heard a lot of people just say this is a Spider-Man knockoff. I think that's very reductivist and very oversimplifying of this. There's definitely a lot to that, but I see just as much Daredevil, just as much Batman. It seems to me like it's a melange of popular characters. But his suit wise, I think his suit looks awesome. It's not fancy. It's not doing anything new, but like the design of his mask, I love the way this character looks.
Yeah, the design's really cool.
Yeah. Okay. Shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
So perfect pinup. Oh, you know what? That's a pinup. I'm gonna roll that into the blacklight poster rule. If I would hang this up on my wall as a 12-year-old, which I will drink.
See, I forgot to get myself any drink because that's where my adult head is.
Yeah. All right, so we move on to our first proper page of the story here, The Birth of a Hero. So we get a very classic, again, early 60s kind of organized crime, even 50s organized crime kind of scene here. We got a guy tied to a chair. There's some dudes working him over. We get some narration here that I thought was interesting to put us in place. It says, south of the great urban glut that is New York City, Jersey City, Newark, and Elizabeth lies Harbor Town. I looked this up. This is real. real town.
Wow.
And it's very cute. So maybe that's just something that happened over time. Because I know Hell's Kitchen is very charming and yuppie-ish now. But anyway, it's, just saying this, it's still a town that's big enough to be ravaged by organized crime, professional corruptors like Max Raven. And we get to meet the guy, and we've mentioned before, we're talking about Ditko many times, that his fashion sense was permanently fixed in 1962. So no matter if he's drawing a comic in 1989, like Speedball for Marvel, everyone still dresses like they're going to a Kennedy rally. I don't know why. But they're working this dude over, and they're telling him that it's because he's going to get it worse, but it's because he's been cozying up to the boys up north. So the organized crime mobs are like fighting each other in the north. They're trying to take over the southern Jersey boys area. Not that Jersey boys. And so someone knocks at the door during this workover, and it's Jay Hunter, and he's brought the numbers take for the day to Mr. Raven. So I love that the crime boss of this whole area is physically present when they're working a dude over, probably going to kill him. Like, I don't know, maybe Sopranos isn't accurate, but I thought the boss didn't hang around when they're wiping a dude out. But
doesn't want to be a witness.
Yeah, typically you don't want to be anywhere physically near where the crime's going on. But so he gives the boss a take, and he says, "Hey, what are you guys doing with Lefty there? And he's like, "Is that why you want me to do blah blah blah?" And he's like, "Hey kid, just get out of here, go take a walk." And they're like, the guy's like, "Little punk's got big eyes," and Jay's letting him know he's cool, and he's like, "Hey, if you ever need anybody for a big job, a man," and he's clearly like 18, 19, and he's like, "Keep me in mind, I got ambitions." Like, yeah, sure. Hey, Blitz, come here. And then as Jay's walking off, flipping a coin and smoking probably a Pall Mall.
Flipping a coin.
and he looks like Keith Giffen drew him in that last panel. But like Max Raven's saying, "Hey, Blitz, that dude's green. He's a liability. So let's take him out." So apparently he saw too much already, and he knows too much, and he's too ambitious. So he's a liability to them.
God, see, I took that as like, lucky strike.
Yeah.
Unfiltered.
Probably lucky strike. You're right.
Yeah. Oh, but the flipping a coin, just like, it's 1975.
Yeah. We're trying to whip inflation. You can't just be flipping those around.
Flipping those around. It's almost the bicentennial, for fuck's sake. Yeah,
but fedoras but man, these last two panels here, I just love the way, like, how lanky they are. Like, Blitz has that striped shirt on, and they're very kind of Keith Giffen-y. And Alex Toth. That Blitz looks like Alex Toth drew him or something.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that as Wood's finishes in a lot of that.
I bet you're right. Oh, you know what? Yeah. That makes more sense. I wasn't factoring Wood into my evaluation of some of these. They go nice together.
They do. They really do. And yeah, obviously we're going to poke a little fun at Ditko, but goddamn, I did love it. I loved seeing his art. Mm-hmm. The kinetic energy, all the stuff that is just every trope you could say about Steve Ditko, but it's there in all of his art. It's there in his worst art.
Yep. But he's a master.
He's just a fucking master. Like, that's a lot of my notes on just this were just like, these panels, no words.
Yep.
You don't need one fucking word on this. None of them, like half these panels. That's how amazing he is. So, I loved this page, especially the coin flipping.
Me too.
Yeah. So, okay. So yeah, next page, Jay walks home to the loft residence and lab of his father, Dr. Simon Hunter. He says, he says, "What do you say, Pop? How's the mad scientist racket? The day you saved the world? And he's like, that's hardly a joking matter, son. But then he goes on, this is again kind of a trope. His dad is doing the serum, this formula to give man the full freedom of his senses. And so he's just like, I just need a human subject. And he's like, oh, that's what, you want it to be me. I've heard it for decades, So he says he's heard it since he was in diapers. He's like, no one believes in your serum, right? Not nah. And then you gotta, what does he say? You gotta unleash a superhero on the world, a cartoon hero freak to fight for truth, justice, and the American way. And you'd like it to be your ever-loving little son. Oh man, that's the thing. It was like, okay, either Archie Goodwin is like cosplaying 1961 or 62 Marvel, or Ditko is writing all this shit.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was like some of this felt like it was them swiping at Stan Lee's early mid 60s writing style.
Absolutely. This is. It seems like in a lot of this, I don't know if it is Ditko or you're right. It could be Goodwin just kind of parodying this shit because I don't know. Was Stan super popular in 1975, even at Marvel? Probably not.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean Kirby had already done, House Roy and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, was Funky Flashman. That's right. That was that was Stan. But yeah. So he says, his son says, yeah, you want me to be the subject. Then his dad's like, is it so terribly far-fetched? We could use a hero in these times. But then Jay's like, I'm already making something of myself the fast way. Watching you slave years for nothing sold me. And then, but fuck, I love that last panel. That last panel is so awesome. It's so Ditko. With the guy busts in, Blitz busts in, says, hate to bust in on a family spat, but I got a message from the boss, kid. Lay down, you're dead. Jay says, Blitz, no!
This would be the pearls rolling down Crime Alley if this book had continued. This scene.
Yeah. Oh God.
So yeah, we definitely get that he's Peter Parker, but he's edgy, right? He's youthful. He's got, he doesn't respect his elders. He's flippant or whatever, but it's like times 10 because he's actually a runner for the mob. So he's not just an angry nerd. He's not an angry nerd, but Peter wanted to do it the fast way too. Yep. So, Blitz.
I know, Blitz.
Yeah, great art again. There's very little I don't like about the art in this book.
Oh, it's awesome.
So the next page, we get to see this attack here. Blam, 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 blam. And father jumps in front and shields his son. Human flesh has no shield against bullets. Father and son fall. And the father is doing a slow-mo dying sequence here. The serum. He reaches up, grabs the bottle. He's feeding it into his son's mouth. Drink, Jay, only enough for one. If wound hasn't reached vital organs, brain, heart, there's hope. And then he keeps going.
He keeps going. I'm just like, I don't know.
I tried to raise you as well I could after your mom died. We're getting the whole thing here. And he says, there's also something hidden for you in the lab closet. It's, Pop, no. And Jay is succumbing to his own wounds because he was also shot. And time and reality move on. The EMTs come in. The cops are there. And I love that there's always a working man complaining about his job. Like, man, don't they ever have emergencies on the ground floor of walk-ups?
Yeah.
And the cop's like, don't worry, there's no rush, man. They're dead. Yeah. And then EMTs start picking up the bodies. And then, Jay's eyes snap open and he's sweating. And he looks amazing in that last panel.
He does. He looks scary. He looks like a dude would if he got shot. And then, eyes pop back open.
Flatliners.
Like, it's Flatliners. Time for a rewatch.
Well, they remade it. You can just be hip and watch the 2019 one or whatever it was.
I think I will actually.
Tell me how that goes for you.
I will. It's not going to go great.
I need
but
slow motion diaphanous curtains in an abandoned mansion whipping in the moonlight a la 1989. That's the only way it's going to happen for me.
Oh, I haven't seen Flatliners since it came out.
I never rewatched it. I saw it in the theater.
Yeah, I remember seeing it in the theater too. I don't think I ever rewatched it.
I remember thinking like, this is really cool. Like a little too cool. Mm-hmm. Like you could even tell I could even tell at 13 or 14, like this is not going to age super well, I don't think. But it's really cool right now.
Well, I was never quite sold as a kid, even through, the cool movies. I was just like, I don't think Kiefer Sutherland's cool.
Really?
I don't know. He never fully convinced me.
Young Guns?
I mean, okay, Young Guns, he was pretty fucking cool in Young Guns, but I don't know. Aside from that, I like him in Fire Walk with Me.
Dude, fucking Sam, man.
Yeah, Sam was amazing.
Yeah, I guess Young Guns and Lost Boys for me are like the main ones.
Okay, those are he's pretty cool in those.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, you've turned my head around.
I like him as a villain more. Stand By Me, Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite stuff.
Okay, let's go on to the next page. Jay Hunter.
That name feels like it's really close to being like a play on words that I'm just like, I don't see it, but I feel like it's supposed to be or something. Like Jay, like a bird? I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It's some kind of reference to some medieval song.
Yeah, totally.
That both of us would know.
Old English folk song or something.
Yeah. I'm like, you and I would probably know that. So
you would.
I don't think so. But so yeah, he let's see here. Jay comes too. He says, "Pop." They're like, "Holy, the kid's alive. It's not possible." And I love that middle panel of that front row with him again. Just the I don't know, just the way he does physicality. You're right. It's so over the top and insane. And so, yeah, he's just being like, take that thing off. He isn't dead. I know he's not dead. But then, and he's saying, oh, you gave me that thing to drink. You shouldn't have. And then, God, what a great panel in the middle there. Fuck, God. Again, this was one where I was just like, don't crowd this with fucking words. You don't have to. Nothing needs to be on this panel.
No. It's stronger without words.
Yeah, it's way stronger without words. It's just, God damn it.
Note to Matt in the future. Matt, Photoshop one of this without any words in it and then put it side by side right here, okay? Thank you for doing that, Matt. You're welcome. Okay.
He's a good guy. You give him a lot of work, though, I have noticed. That prick, you give him a lot of work. And he's always like, fucking pass Matt, man.
Okay, now
every fucking time.
Now you need to react to the panel that's going to be added right here, Jacob.
Okay, I'm going to do that. Oh, look at how awesome that looks without words. That is incredible.
Better, right?
It's way better. Yeah. But yeah, it continues, and I kind of like how the word balloons. I love the way that they kind of pop. It says not pop. It says hold him still. I got an injection ready. So I guess he can still be bullets are flying out of him, but he gets an injection. It's totally cool.
Well, he rejects the bullets, but
he rejects the bullets. That's true. But that was pre-serum, though. Got to say,
true.
Right?
Good point.
Yeah. Well,
that's fair.
Okay. But yeah, so but I love this, and I really went back to it, like that middle panel where we are told that the bullets are popping out of him, and they're like little explosions coming out, like little colored explosions. It's so cool. And then, yeah, on the last panel, I love the doctor. He's like, oh, man, this can't be. It's night gallery stuff. His body's rejecting the bullets. His wounds are healing. They're like, kid's some kind of freak. Nice night gallery reference there.
Yeah.
Love it.
This row, this page, man.
This whole page, fuck. Every panel on this page is awesome.
I forget sometimes wood on Ditko pencils how perfect it is. Like they're both masters in their own way, but them together, there's a synergy that's hard to put my finger on that just makes it just sing.
I didn't do a deep dive. I'm just assuming they didn't work together a ton.
I mean, I think they were friends. Ditko contributed to Wits End some. They did work on that short-lived thing we talked about previously, Stalker, that ran for 4 issues for DC.
Yeah.
The same exact thing. Ditko pencils, wood inks, and it's beautiful stuff. Not as good as this, though, I don't think, honestly.
No. I forgot about the Wits End stuff. Yeah, I mean, well, Ditko loved wood because it was just like, yeah, keep your character. I'm not gonna take anything. which obviously Ditko being him, he was like, oh yeah, okay. We're buddies for life now.
Yeah. That upside down panel there where he's fading into the drugs, into the sedatives. That is so cool. His mouth and everything just, ugh. I could look at this.
I know.
I could look at this array here all day. But we must press on, Jacob. We have to press on.
We do.
So we get a very classic kind of Ditko montage sequence here where he's slipping under the drugs, the warm release of sedatives, and he's remembering, his dad's making these pleas to him, and he's like literally lighting money on fire to light his cigarette, and he's still flipping a coin. So it's just kind of him playing back this nightmarish version of him disrespecting his father and his work and his father's ethos and philosophy towards life. Then we see Mr. Raven, and he's throwing money up in the air, and it's, this is like the sequence in Dumbo or whatever, right? Like the drunk, whatever that thing is. It's like that kind of nightmarish stuff. And I love the cartoonish, like the weird, like bendy guns coming up, and it just has that dream distortion to it, fisheye lens kind of stuff. He gets some weird Ditko dots down there where it's just like a cloud of bullets, and he's just in silhouette going, no, like the bullets have multiplied like probably by 10 power of 10.
Yeah.
And then there's his dad, and then with more bullets, Ditko dot bullets, and then he says, I killed you, Pop, and there's just a classic skull. And Jay's in the center of it all screaming.
I mean, this is classic. I mean, this is a classic Spider-Man panel.
Right.
I mean, 100%.
And this was so iconically like Spider-Man that Romita just stole this type of stuff for like when he took over for like 5 years afterwards, he would do this all the time.
Well, I mean, it's so iconic. It's so tied to the character.
Yeah.
Like, how couldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's much to, I'm sure, Ditko's chagrin. It went with the character. It didn't go with Ditko. But reality lives on, and so we see that, they find out Jay's still alive and kicking, and he's going to attach Raven to it, and so Raven says, "Hey, you gotta go take care of Blitz because he's the loose end here." And the next panel, we see Jay in the hospital. He looks great, and he's sitting up in bed, and he says, "Blitz was found floating in the bay." So I guess there's my connection to Mr. Raven. There's no case, nothing we can do for justice now. And and then we see another panel where the high-priced mob lawyer mouthpiece guy is like saying like there's no connection between this guy's death and my client, and and the guy with the cop says, "But I've still got a sense of smell, and your client violates it. Get him out of here.
Get him out of here."
Great page, but that top giant panel is worth the price of admission. So.
Yeah, it is. And I noted this a few times that this is as good as like early Spider-Man art, but also kind of has a bit more of the hallucinatory stuff that Ditko did with Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
So it's a cool combo with the combo of Ditko kind of combining those two styles, and then with Wood inks. Fucking awesome. Yeah. I know I'm just going to say that every page, but goddamn, please read this issue however you can.
So, I'm going to put a link here in the description. You can check, folks. But so far, all of the stuff that we've talked about this season is on archive.org. So there are scans. If you're willing to go onto Archive, which is a safe, clean site, somebody has scanned them and put them up as CBZs or CBRs or whatever that file type is. So you can read them on there and just click a little button and turn the virtual page and read all the issues. All 4 of them are up there.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, Archive is so important and is being attacked, and hopefully will stay up.
Yeah, we should contribute to them in GCD.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, both of those. We've used a lot and really appreciate. So okay, next page. So we're back at the hospital. So Jay has flown the coop, and we see a crooked sergeant meets with some heavies outside. And let him know, just like, Hunter's loose on the streets. Don't let him stand there. Get him. I want that punk dead. And so, but then we cut to Jay, and Jay's just like, Fuzz will never take care of Raven. I got to do something. Then he's like, oh, I got to hide out. He's like, oh, maybe with the kids in the neighborhood. And so he goes, he's just like, hey. And they are not down with it. It says, you want to crash with us after shaking us down and ripping us off all through school? Try your gangster pals. And at first, Jay's like, why I oughta. But But then he's like, they're telling it straight. Which I liked. At least he's like, oh yeah, he did. He probably like shook them down for their fucking milk money in elementary school and was a prick. So yeah, they're just like, fuck you. Go find the mob. Have them kill you. But then he's like, they're telling it straight. Face it. Only one person can help you. You. So yeah, the fellas are at the loft. Yeah, Ditko.
Ditko.
Yep. And yeah, Heavy's, okay, loft's clean. I figured the kid wasn't so stupid he'd hide out at home. And then Jay swings down. He's like, the jerks didn't even check the roof. No wonder Raven told me his gang could use a bright boy. I do like, we'll find Jay later, fucking and hiding in like Raven's apartment. I do just love his like, what's the most obvious place I can be? That's where I'm going to be. And it works. It works every time.
Yeah. Those are nice touches.
It's pretty cool.
I thought it was odd that this is the second time where there's been a panel in his dad's offices where that figure, the like anatomical figure, is in the foreground.
It's weird, right?
It's like Ditko's saying something, but I'm not quite sure. Is like that like the ideal man, and like Jay is basically becoming this like ideal physical man?
Well, I mean, that is 100% Ditko philosophy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Man, I loved these beatniks or whatever they are.
Holy shit. I know.
Like, look at this guy. He looks like he's hanging out with Jughead.
He is hanging out with Jughead and Maynard G. Krebs.
Oh my God.
And yeah, even though I think both women we see in this issue are basically dressed exactly the same.
Yeah. And the guy on the right with the glasses, that just looks like someone that Dan Clowes would draw like an 8-ball. Is like a dude like
right?
asking for a cigarette outside of a punk show. Some annoying dude.
Yeah. Or like a guy working in a video store that's like a perv.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like talking about the different cuts of Caligula. Like, it won't shut up about it. Oh my God. Okay. So pretty good page. Again, anytime there's a close up of Jay, I think it looks amazing. With that cig hanging out of his mouth there, when he's having that kind of moment of clarity, you see him just starting to shift towards like, you know what? I was an asshole.
Yeah.
Bad on me. Okay, so next page. So he's back in his dad's shop, and he's just kind of raging that his father's killer ultimately is going free, and he's smashing stuff. He's like, whoa, where did that strength come from? And then he realizes, hey, maybe it's Pop's serum. It helped me heal. Maybe it's done a lot more. And then he's like realizing, hey, I could use this for my revenge to avenge my father. And he's like, wait a minute. He said something about something hidden in the closet. And so he opens up the closet door, and there is a ready-made costume that he was mocking his father for, wanting to create a cartoon superhero to fight for truth, justice, and the American way. And here we are. The prophecy has become realized. He says, I may not be the kind of world saver you imagine. Bringing down Raven will take something more vicious. A smasher, a destroyer, a destructor. And with all I know about how Raven's mob works, I can be that in spades. And then with nightfall, we see him swinging down from the rafters. And they're saying they're moving some hot goods. Got to distribute this hijacked stuff to our legit outlets. And he swings in and says, oh, so Raven and the rest of you can get fatter and richer? No more scum. As he grabs, I don't know, a cardboard tube or some kind of a weird thing and beats a guy with it. Was scum popular? That feels like a more 80s thing. A vigilante Punisher, like calling everyone scum. Everything got gritty. Scum. You scum.
Well, maybe Ditko was ahead of the game on this one thing culturally.
Not my favorite page, though.
No, not my favorite page either. The layout, the 4-panel, 3-panel, 2-panel, it doesn't work. No. I don't think it ever works. No. So it was a weird layout for Ditko to do. Yeah. And kind of the same the next page. But yeah, let's go to the next page. So, Jay picks up one of the Dick Tracy looking guys and he says, dig it, garbage. I'm pulling Maxi Boy's operations down one by one. Oh, man, that was my favorite piece of dialogue right there. Dig it, garbage.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So he picks him up, throws him, and anybody dumb enough to stick around when I do falls right along with them. Even though as simple as that third panel is, I love the physicality. I love him hurling the dude into another dude.
Yep. And the nice clean layout, just the solid yellow. Everything's just cast in like this one yellow light above, the pier or whatever it is, the warehouse.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, then he on the next row he calls up Raven. He says, "Raven, Jay Hunter, I'm behind your warehouse getting turned into an ash heap." "Well, that was just for openers, big man." He says, "You little creep, you couldn't do it alone. Who's helping you? Who's this Destructor?" And then Jay counters with, "Worry about it." Click.
I've never heard that.
I think because it's dumb. I think that's why you've never heard it. Because most people before they would make that, they'd be like, no one says that. That's stupid. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. In that panel, I was just like, okay, Raven's got some Jameson going on in some of these.
Oh, yeah. I see that.
Yeah, a little bit. But then, final row, and Raven's just like, all right, this ain't a hit anymore. It's a war. And so he's saying like, get him. So they're like, understood, Mr. R. As they're nervously kind of adjusting their ties, I'm sure. And but then we get this last great panel where it's Jay. The TV's saying, still missing is Jay Hunter, sought by local police as material witness. And then Jay's sitting, eating a sandwich, probably drinking a glass of milk. I know those are probably potato chips. I wanted them all to be hard-boiled
So did
eggs.
That's my notice. Nobody can eat 50 eggs.
Okay, I'm glad you thought that too. I was like, that's a hell of a lot of boiled eggs. But, as we learn later, even I think in the next issue, when he does all this, he gets super tired and super worn out. So maybe that is 50 hard-boiled eggs.
Honestly, like my brain immediately went to like some like weird, like, Flash storylines, like when his metabolism gets all out of whack because he gets electrocuted again or something, and he's got to eat like 50 billion calories every time he runs. I thought they were going to lead up to something like that. I was like, no, that's got to be potato chips.
I know, but let's just believe what we want to believe, and that's just a fuck ton of hard-boiled eggs right there.
Yeah.
But then, he's in Raven's apartment,
Baller,
chilling. Yeah, seriously, baller move. Love it.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts of the issue. Actually, was the fact that he's just like, well, no one's going to look for me here, and it's a big middle finger to this guy. So he's drinking his milk. He probably made love to his wife.
He probably did. Watch this TV. I don't know. I mean, look, I know it's 1975, but that TV looks like it's 1951.
Yeah, totally.
Like that's the new Magnavox that everyone on the block is coming over to their house to see.
Yeah, like this reporter just like turned to the other camera and said, my favorite cigarette is.
Doctors recommend. Yeah.
Okay. We're moving on. This is a great page. There's this beautiful panel on the top here. We have this little kind of like quasi montage where it's actually just Jay as Destructor bisecting a scene into two panels. So we see him like attacking multiple places. He's rampaging. He's doing it again and again as the Destructor. And I love that middle image of him. It almost looks like, in the old Spider-Man cartoon when he just like comes like flying out towards the camera in the original animated series. Great stuff there. And then there's him taunting again on the phone. Hey, Jay, Maxie, just reminding you of the score. Me 4, you 0. So, and then we see him jumping through a window. That's big glass. We drink for big glass whenever.
Yeah, we do. Let's drink for
have we
that.
had a big glass this season?
I don't think wait, do we have one in Grim Ghost? I can't remember. I don't think so. Let's just say.
Did they have glass in the colonial times? No, I don't remember. I don't think we've had big glass, but folks, we started this joke back in season 1 of Werewolf by Night podcast that we just, I don't remember what the origin was, but it's like, the trope of people jumping through glass or shattering glass was so common. We made a joke that big glass was lining Marvel's pockets back in the day to encourage more glass breaking, thus more money in their pockets. So we drank whenever this happens. So it's a vestige of the old days.
It is. We celebrate it.
We should have made big glass shirts for the t-shirt shop.
Oh, we really should. So I got to say, I mean, even before you move on to that last row, fuck me.
Yeah.
These two panels, this is what comics are about.
Yeah.
This is you can only do this in comics. And you and I have talked over the years just about that. Those are the times when you just get the the most joy, where you feel just like a little kid, where you're just like, no other art form or means of communication can do what Ditko is doing in these two panels. Yep. It's exhilarating.
It is. Another Ditko thing here on the right, Raven's like disembodied head. That's another thing that he really liked to use. He didn't invent it by any means, but it's definitely one of his cards that he goes to, plays a lot when he's playing the game of comics here. So I love that they're on opposite sides of the panel with this exciting action event happening in the center, and it's all this montage just showing different events occurring in this one-man war against Max Raven. And then the bottom row here, he's so up inside Raven's head at this point. Like Raven's just walking around chain smoking, and for chain smoking for Max Raven is 2 at one time. So, he's flipping, he's talking to himself about he's chasing the shadows, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no wonder the boys up north are moving in on him. So this whole war is weakening his battle against the boys from New York City or whatever, or Newark. So he's even weaker now. So he's even more stressed out. And he says, all right, well, clearly, my regular buttonmen aren't going to handle this. So I need special talent and a bundle of bread. So he gets on the phone, he pulls out a letter opener, and he says, get word to your boss. I want him fast as he's available and at double the fee. It's worth it for Slaymaster.
Slaymaster.
Goofy name.
Yep, goofy name. But this page just made me so happy.
Yeah, me too.
Fuck. All right. Yeah. So, we're going to get a little peek at that other mob here. Next page. I have to read this. Just I like that. Slaymaster, a name whispered throughout the underworld. When all else fails, he is called the Assassin Elite, the ultimate professional killer. And then we get another lovely lady, and basically the same lady, just with different hair color, slightly different clothing color. Who's like, Vinny, I'm bored. Why do we have to stay cooped up in this silly farmhouse? And
I like that read.
Thank you. Because it's that to be cooped up in a coffin, Thelma. Can't you understand? We're bucking the syndicate for this part of Ohio. All right. Sure.
Cleveland or Cincinnati, I guess,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's shit going on. All right. So yeah, they put a contract out on him. And I like that this is his whole plan, though. He's like, only I'm forcing him to come to us, baby. And when he does, he'll learn this ain't a farmhouse. It's a freaking fortress. And then we see Slaymaster, who's sneaking up. And man, he looks awesome, like he did on the cover. It's just kind of a webbed mask and green fedora and coat. He's got a little utility belt.
I love in that second panel of this page where the first panel we're inside and the guy's looking out the curtains, nervously, and then we go outside. We see a security guard posted up on watch, and the Slaymaster's approaching him, but the word balloon's coming out of the chimney to indicate that the conversation is continuing inside. I did not understand that at first. The first time I read that, I was like, "What? Why is the security guard finishing the guy's statement?" And then oh, it's pointing at the house. I don't know why I thought that was funny.
It is funny. Can I tell you, I didn't even notice that. I thought it was a security guard.
I love this middle row, this little sequence here. Like Slaymaster doing his thing. He's got a goofy name. He looks kind of goofy. He looks kind of, Crime Master or whatever, like classic Ditko villain. But he's badass.
Yeah, he's badass. So, okay, walk me through this.
Okay.
I had to do this a couple times.
I think I got it.
Okay, if you got it, tell me what you think.
Okay. What's happening on this sequence?
What's happening in that sequence there?
Okay, so he climbs up in the tree. He breaks glass. Oh, drink.
Glass.
He throws a rock down and breaks the first 4 windows. So the guys on the second floor go, "What? Oh, that's the first 4. Everybody down there fast!" And then he swings into the second floor window, shoots them all as they're running downstairs in the back.
Okay,
and then he swings back out and swings back into as they're saying, "Someone help! He's really up here! He's up here!" And he swings into the bottom.
So they're going,
yeah. And as they're all going
up,
the remaining ones are going up the stairs. He's shooting them in the back.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It's
it took me a little.
badass.
Okay, that's what I ended up doing, but it took me a couple times. I was just like, I think I kept forgetting to notice that he threw something into the bottom window each time. So, I mean, okay, so that bottom window went, but that top window went too.
Yeah.
So let's have another. So much glass. I had no idea.
Well, it's 3 panels of big glass drinks, Jacob. So
Oh shit! All right, one more.
okay.
Yeah, fucking awesome.
So I love that little sequence. I love the way he thought this out, and it's just this weird kind of like Punisher thing where he's just like,
Yeah.
just taking these dudes out like they're vermin, right? Or it's like you turn on the lights and the cockroaches start running. You just have a couple shoes and you're just smashing them all. So this is all in a day's work for him. Okay, so inside, there's still a couple guys left. He didn't kill all of them, and he says, "Ripes, the guy's a killing machine. Anybody he didn't nail coming down the stairs, he caught going up. We're all that's left." Thank you for explaining that.
See? Yep.
And then they say, well, he outsmarted himself ducking in there because that door is the only way out. So they bust in to snuff him. And we see by his little feet that he's standing on one foot on the open door and one foot on the door jamb. And he says, "Now know why I'm called Slaymaster," as he kills the last 3, shooting them in the back. A grim climax is written in the quiet of rural Ohio.
Yeah, no shit. He's like Mike from Breaking Bad.
Totally.
Like,
Oh my God.
just slowly, methodically doing this,
Oh, I love it. I love that. Yeah, I thought he was more like Anton Chigurh, but yeah, he's more like Mike Erlentrout or Ermintrout, or his name is. Yeah, and so we cut back, and Destructor is still doing his thing in New Jersey. 1 week later, he's breaking chairs on people's heads, busting up things. Still calling and taunting. I love that he calls and taunts Raven every time he busts up one of his places. Game time, Raven. Guess whose heroin drop is about to catch fire? So this seemed, am I crazy, or is acknowledging heroin? I mean, I know in 72 that famous, Speedy shooting up thing happened, but like, this is kind of edgy code wise, right? Talking about heroin after the code.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of edgy.
I mean, I'm sure in crime comics in the 40s and 50s, they were talking about dope and stuff all the time. But like, once the code came down. So yeah, that seemed kind of like maybe a Atlas edge.
Yeah, I can see that.
And yeah, so I love how worked up Raven's gotten. "Hear me, good punk. I want an end to this. If you and your buddy can find the guts, I'll be waiting at the giant novelty company to settle this once and for all." Destructor says, "Okay, big man, it's a date."
Oh my God.
And then we realize once the call is over, it was all set up. He went for it. "Now all you have to do is," "I know exactly what I have to do, Mr. Raven. You'll hardly be paying the fee or you'd hardly be paying the fee you are if I didn't." He's like, get those two. And when they die, make sure they know I paid you to do it." God.
Yeah, really, really awesome.
Ugh, so funny.
Yeah. No, I love he's setting a giant thing of heroin on fire as he's hovering above it. So, I mean, he's maybe just a dumb kid. I don't know. But I'm just like, okay, well, have fun with
He's
that.
also smacked out right now.
He's super smacked out. Him and Speedy are going to hang out.
I mean, did you guffaw out loud when you read Giant Novelty Company? Because I did. Because I was like, of course
I did.
We're going, like, this is such a Silver Age thing, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it is. Giant novel. It might as well have been called Acme Novelty Company.
Yeah.
Like,
Joker Acme Novelty Company.
It's so awesome. Yeah, made me really happy. So, did you think this next page was a little weird? I mean, I love this panel. This first panel that we're seeing is fucking awesome. It's so weird. But I'm just like, is this like a recap of the origin? Like 3/4 of the way through the comic?
It is, but it's also, yes, but it's expounding on what his dad was trying to explain to him about what the serum does. And I love the animal thing where it's all like, again, it's like that Batman Daredevil thing where it's like the extreme of a sense, right? Becoming like the master of some sense. And so you just get this hodgepodge, this freakish pile of animal parts showing like, so you can leap like a frog and you can smell like a dog and you can hear like it's just like a cat. And like, it's just fucking crazy.
It's crazy. This is acid shit.
Yes.
This is why kids were just like, Ditko's crazy. He drops acid all the time.
Yeah.
But nope, it's just his brain.
Yep, it's just his brain. And yeah, dog haunches, a bat head. So, but that's setting it up for all of the stuff we see him do here in the upcoming sequence.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, it does.
But I love how weird it is.
It's so weird. And the way that, the way his physicality in that one shot of him in the middle is also so bizarre.
Yeah.
Like, bodies don't move that way. But Ditko makes it look awesome.
Yep.
And bottom row, we just get kind of another, I do like he says, this is the miracle wrought by Simon Hunter, though scoffed and mocked through the years, a miracle forged in the blaze of a killer's guns and preserved with a father's sacrifice. That's a good one.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah. But then, at the last panel, he's like, you should have lived instead of me, Pop. It's too late to change that, but I can still bring down the kind of human lice who killed you.
Also feels like Ditko.
Yes.
At Ditko's worst philosophically, he can be pretty dehumanizing to people that he doesn't agree with morally or whatever. And that just smacks of him.
Yeah.
But man, nothing beats a Ditko mouth, huh? Like that Jay crying.
Jesus. Oh, I know.
So great.
So it's awesome.
All right. So we have arrived at the giant novelty company with what I can only imagine is a cutout sign that looks like an ape. I'm hoping it's a giant ape. It's like the only a gorilla. Something that makes any sense, right?
That is the only thing that makes sense to me.
Jay arrives and he says, I know it's one of Raven's fronts. It's a perfect spot for a trap. So he's no dummy. He knows he's going into a likely trap. And he says, his mob hasn't pulled anything yet that I can't handle. Why should tonight be any different? And he drops in and we get the first of many giant novelties. A very big clown, like freakish, like clown face. Like you'd see it, I don't know, Mardi Gras or something. It's nightmarish and cool and weird. And its rosy cheeks look like they're airbrushed on, like at the last minute by the colorist. I don't know how you would even get that soft. It's so weird. But he's dropping into the skylight again, saying, to think I once figured Maxie and his muscle brain clowns were big deals, but duds is more like it. And sure enough, there's a giant pair of pants wearing clown shoes, detached giant arm, and that giant clown head. So this is all going to be like shit that Batman would drag down to the Batcave with him after he beat the Joker. Trophies.
Pretty much.
So he drops down and says, all right, scum, I'm here. You didn't think I'd waltz in the front door, did you? Well, come on, spring your dumb trap. And then we see the Slaymaster is hiding inside the eyelids of one of the giant clown mask. He says, so I can get down to serious business of stomping through you to that hunk of dirt you call a boss. And Slaymaster's confused. He's expecting Jay Hunter and Destructor. No sign of Jay Hunter, but if this is the awesome Destructor Max Raven spoke of, I'm singularly unimpressed. And he wings Jay, gets him in the shoulder. And again, in another shoulder. It's cripes, tagged twice. And if I hadn't luckily dodged back, that first shot would have been in my head. I was stupid, overconfident, as he's like collecting himself, like hugging his shoulders under a giant arm pit.
Nope.
Wounds may not be serious, but God, do they hurt. And he's looking around, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. At least that serum's like, heal me fast if I live long enough to figure out who or what I'm fighting. So great action sequence here with a bizarre, very throwbacky Silver Age, if not, like early Silver Age even.
Yeah, if not later.
If not even late golden.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's corny as hell, but super fun. So, next page we get some great villain dialogue from Slaymaster. It says, compliments on your phenomenal swiftness, friend. I seldom miss even a moving target, but more the shooting skill has brought me the name Slaymaster. And so, he's just kind of taunting Jay. Yeah, saying he's the equal to Jay. He's a killer shot. But, Jay figures that he can, by focusing, he can tap into these heightened senses that we were reminded of the last page. And, but then Slaymaster sneaks up on Jay, but dodges again with those heightened senses, which are, barely keeping him alive at this point. Specifically, God, all the ways that he dodges on that last row of panels, fuck, so cool.
Yeah. I feel like that plus the color scheme are like the main two reasons this gets called a Spider-Man knockoff. honestly.
Yes. Yeah, I which I can see. I think you're right. I think it's more of a kind of pastiche of a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
That Ditko does really well, but I get that. Yeah, you're right. It's the shorthand to just be like, it's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which it's like 38% Spider-Man.
Yeah. But, you know, I mean, nobody moves like Ditko Spider-Man moves. So, I mean, I can see why people say that, but it's more Ditko than it is Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how many people, you know, all the people that drew Spider-Man after that. I mean, Romita couldn't do that. Romita's a genius.
Yeah.
He couldn't do that.
Yeah, he just doesn't have that same, he doesn't think of Peter Parker the same way that Ditko did. And Ditko created him. So, okay, so we're moving on here. So yeah, we're getting like all this, this heightened sense stuff, like you were saying. Like, so he says, basically, he's going to start using what Pop gave him to the fullest, and he's touching the ground, like the hardwood floors of this storage place. And like we get the Daredevil, like, sonar thing of like a shell casing hits the ground, and he's picking up on that. And he says, pinpointing him. So, he's moving. I can feel the vibrations of his footsteps. He's going away from me. So he's totally dialed in, like Daredevil right now. And he says, got to hurry ahead, try to cut him off. And he's scrambling over random body parts in this place. And then he says, trouble is when I'm moving, it's hard to hear or feel what he's doing. And then, is it ever? And you get another one of those crazy physical panels as he just spins out of the way in the last possible moment. You're athletic, my friend, but your strategies are wanting. And then so he realizes, okay, I'm screwed. He's got me pinned here. With a dead shot like him, I can't just plow in and risk a wound. And then he looks up and says, hey, a sprinkler pipe. And then you get this, is it Spider-Man 33, whatever that one is, where he's like pulling up like the water rushing down. You get like a kind of a low rent version of that, where he's like, it's higher than I ever leaped before. There must be limits on what the serum can help me do. But if I tense, tighten every muscle, coil for one big effort, I might just... So he's just like springing himself up, because this is his only way out of this death trap, is to jump up, presumably like 25 feet in the air or something crazy.
Yeah, and definitely this is 33. This is the final chapter.
Yeah.
Like which guy? You know, I can never read that enough.
Oh yeah, you kidding?
It's just one of the best things that humanity's ever done. So even a tiny little, reference of that here made me very happy.
Yeah. I don't know if you thought of it at all, but it felt to me just like that was kind of like...
Oh, I 100% thought that. Absolutely. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, next page. So yeah, he leaps up to the sprinkler pipe. He says, make it! He makes it up there, gets kind of an overview of his surroundings. And then he's just like, talk about Slaymaster. Hey, you must have spent the day learning the layout here. It's an advantage I've got to counter, or... But then, Slaymaster sees him or hears him saying, impressive, except that pipe creaks under your weight. A small error, but fatal. If the shot doesn't kill you, the fall will. And so, and he gets shot, lets go of the pipe, and starts to fall. He says, only those displays are high enough to hide this catwalk from his view. It's the first time he hasn't one-upped me. Which made me think about this battle. And Jay's just been playing defense the entire time.
Yeah, it's all reaction.
Yeah, and so, but this is the first time. And so now, once he's on that catwalk, we get that really cool, he's running towards us, saying, I'm going to milk it for all it's worth. And so I'm going to go the same way, but faster. And then he leaps towards us, towards the reader, saying, if my hearing and timing are right, now's the moment to leap. Very cool.
Yeah. I do like this sequence and this kind of the turn of the screw here, where now he's taking, he's fully embraced all of his abilities and he's turning it against the Slaymaster. All right, we get another cool page here graphically. He busts out through the must be a paper mache or something, through the clown mask. Surprise, hot stuff. We'll wrap. Experience gave you a big edge over me, but it won't mean beans once my hands are on you. You yap about why you're called Slaymaster. Here's why I'm called the Destructor, as he tackles him. And we get a nice trope here. It says, as the two figures lock in desperate battle, this is that cliche trope that you see all the time in movies where people are fighting over a gun and then and you don't know who got shot.
You don't know.
And it fades to black. And then the next scene starts. We're at Max Raven's headquarters. And he says, "Hey, boss," says, "I can see Squint. Let the man in and call the boys. We're celebrating." And he's like pouring some expensive cognac out into his glasses. He's like, "Right, Slaymaster." So sure enough, following this goon in is Slaymaster. So of course, Raven's pouring out the good brown stuff. And he's like, "Hey, we're partying tonight.
Yep.
Jay and Destructor are dead."
Yep, and that's the end of the comic because Destructor's dead. Yep.
Short run.
Sorry,
Short run.
that's yep, that's okay. But yeah, I love those two first panels, especially him. Yeah, jumping through. Yeah, hopefully paper mache. Looks a little. Yeah, plastic would be a little cutty.
Well, wrap
But,
made me think it was like
Yeah,
tissue paper or
yes,
something
definitely.
light, you know.
Yeah. Even though I know, that panel you're talking about, yeah, of course it's a trope, but how cool is it, though?
Yeah, I know. And this 2-panel pairing here was cool. Like, I mean, I've seen it 1,000 times and it always works for me.
Yeah. Oh, I know. So cool. And so, yeah, we get the next page, and guess what? We see a red gloved fist come out of the panel saying, "Wrong, filth." Raven's like, what'd you build Squint for? Who? And then, we realize it's the Destructor. He says, "Not your hired killing, Raven. He's become part of the giant novelty company's inventory till the coroner picks him up. He's dead."
Another Ditko thing.
Yep, another
Right?
Ditko
He used to
thing.
just kill villains off left, right, and center.
Yeah, if you're bad, if you're evil, you deserve to die, Matt. There's only two.
Yeah.
There's only two ways. Yeah. But then he's picking up Raven saying, "Right on, big man." And guess who I singled out for some real destruction? It's like, no, whatever little that Jay Hunter has given you, I can double, triple. He says, "That's your best offer, scum. Let me see how high you go when I unmask." And he's about to unmask. But then he's like, "Sounds, vibrations from the hall. At least 3 people coming this way fast." And so he kind of ducks away right as 3 guys enter. Raven's like, "Lash, thank God, you guys are just in time to..." But then they just, hail of bullets comes from them saying, "To keep you from letting our whole setup go down the tube. Goodbye, Raven. I just made a deal with the boys up north to take over." And I do love that execution scene for the Raven, though.
That panel.
Oh, that panel's so fucking cool.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, last page. Very panel heavy issue.
Yeah, it is.
I love when he breaks out of like the normal grid though and does something, those are the ones we've been loving.
Mm-hmm.
So he slams the door and says, "Congratulations, Lash. Here's your first share in Raven's action." And they start shooting at the door as he swings up behind it in this really cool kind of way, like basically running up the wall, it almost looks like, and with his feet on the ceiling. "Somebody behind the door, blast him." "Lash, you're going to be a big disappointment to the boys up north," as he swings all the way around the door and lands on top of them. It's like, Raven's dying still. "You brought all this on. Why, Destructor? I never did a thing to you." He unmasks. "Didn't you, vermin?" "Jay, no, can't be. Max Raven finished by one punk kid alone. It just can't be." Jay Hunter turns and he feels a sudden weariness upon him. He turns to the window and the night beyond, leaving only silence. That weariness is something, like you said, comes up later. Like, there's a price to pay, which there always has to be an economy for using powers, right? I think.
Yep.
Anytime anybody can just shoot laser beams and whatever and not pay any cost on the other end is always kind of a cheat to me.
Yeah.
So we get a very classic hero origin ending here. A new day dawns, grim and bleak as a fresh-made grave. And there's Jay wearing a suit, standing in a graveyard, looking down as there's gray clouds behind him and leafless trees and whatever. And he's like, "Now you're at rest, Pop, here beside Mom. Now you're avenged, too. Only it's not enough. One Max Raven can't make up for a good man, a brilliant man like you." He's crying. And he says, Nalium doesn't make up for the grief I gave you in life or for causing your death. So I'm not quitting with Raven Pop. I'm going on. He's not the end. He's the beginning, as he raises one silhouetted hand into the air and lightning strikes behind him.
Lightning
swear
strikes.
it.
Oh, the lightning, the fist raised. Goddamn.
Yeah.
Yep. Great ending. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Really cool.
That was the point where I was like, this seems like it's tongue in cheek a little bit here and there. I couldn't tell.
You think so? Does Ditko do tongue in cheek?
Well, I felt like Goodwin maybe wrote it tongue in cheek and Ditko didn't get it.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I don't know. That was just a guess. Like this is such a tired thing at this point in comics history that it felt like it couldn't be sincere, but again, Ditko. So, but that's where I keep having that weird loop I was talking about at the beginning where it's like, did he write this and Goodwin scripted it? Like it doesn't make any sense.
No, it really doesn't. But I mean, it could be Goodwin, doing some tongue in cheek thing, but Ditko doesn't get college humor.
No.
So not sure that would have flown.
Yeah, exactly. So before we go to a letter and final thoughts, let's do a shout out.
You bet.
So shout outs, folks, are something that some backers, people who want to support the show, they go to Patreon and they back us there. And there's all kinds of different tiers of support to fit any budget, really. But the most popular one is Pack Member. That's $5 a month. And those folks get our weekly bonus show, which we call the Shadow Show. So this show is published every other week. And in those off weeks, we do a Shadow Show. And that's available in audio and video format. And there's also special gated content. And when we make special things outside of the normal episodes, we also give first crack to people that support us at higher tiers as well. For instance, we did give a sneak peek preview of a little short film we made about Jacob that is now available on this channel to anybody. It's called Jacob's Last Waltz. If you want to check that out, we just turn that on to the public. But we gave that a sneak peek to our pack members in the higher tiers because we want to thank them for supporting us, so they always get first peek at stuff like that. But when you do support us at the pack member level, you get stuff like the access to the entire archive of our bonus show / shadow show. So we just published our 110th episode last week. So there's a whole bunch of stuff to go through. We've talked about werewolf movies when we were talking about werewolf comics. We talk about life. We've talked about some music, and we talk about Kickstarter stuff, comics that we backed, and we review them once we get them. We talk about last season, we talked about Ulysses Bloodstone and read the entire Ulysses Bloodstone saga on the air, just covering that as kind of a practice for this season. This season, we've actually kind of retooled it, and now we're doing like shorter episodes that are reviews of other Bronze Age stuff that we just don't have time to get to before we hang our cowl up at the end of this season. So, yeah, that's a lot of stuff, but that is to say that if you back us, the pack member, which is the most popular one, you can get access to that every other week in video or audio format and access to the entire archives. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
And also, forgot my seg there. So you also get shout outs in the show, like right here. And so the pack members are cool people like Ben Potter,
Blake, last name withheld,
Brad Elmore,
Brian Steed,
Brian from Marvel by the Month,
Caleb,
Chris Sperry,
Dave Kennedy,
David D,
David Goodwin,
Glenn Lash,
Grace,
Greg Rowland,
James Shiggis,
Jared from Swords and Scrolls podcast,
Jason W,
Jeff Fitzpatrick,
Jerry from Buffalo,
Justin the Owl,
Kyle from the Heartland,
Letty,
Matt Harvey,
Michelle from Moonlit Comics,
Pat Zvek,
Rob from Marvel by the Month,
Russ from Tomes of Evil,
Tony Iupi,
Tim Tucker,
and Worm Drive Pro. Thanks to all the pack members that support us. We appreciate you.
But there's more. There's one tier left on our Patreon that you can join. You can be a celestial barbarian deity known as the Star God. So Star Gods get everything that we had talked about before that the lower tiers get, but they get even more. They get really exclusive stuff that we make just for them. And after 6 months of being a Star God, you get to go to our Threadless shop and pick out a shirt, cup, whatever you want, and we'll send it to your door. So the Star Gods, our shout-outs begin. The Star Gods like B.A.M,
Brink,
Eric Hadley,
Jason Finestone,
Jesse McFerrin,
John Walsh,
Josh Link,
MJ,
Mark Nivens,
Melissa Watts,
Michael Giacchino,
Ryan from Across the Bifrost, a Mighty Thor podcast.
and patron of them all, Jackson T. Overstreet.
All hail Jackson T. Overstreet. St. Jackson. Thanks to all of our Star Gods for supporting us and backing us. We like to do a little extra stuff like Jacob said for them. I made a Diabolic, kind of a video version of a cartoon of a Diabolic Fumetti Neri, one of an 120-page issues of one of his adventures, and I put some cool Italian genre film music in the background to it, just a little thing I thought would be fun. I did the translation with the help of Google Translate. I didn't do it myself. And we kicked that out there. We just do little stuff like that. And I think I'll be doing some more of those this year. Some more, since we're having shorter shadow shows. I think I'm going to do some little more. I have some things, Jacob, we'll talk about offline. Little short things, a little more nugs for the Star Gods.
No, that sounds
Just to
awesome.
sweeten
They
the
deserve
pot.
it.
Yeah, they do. They deserve all good things. So there was a letters column that appeared in issues 3 and 4 called Destructor Dispatches. So Jacob, I didn't put one in here. I thought maybe you could pick a number between 1 and 4 and I could read one.
Okay, let's go 3.
Okay. So, 3 is 1, 2, 3. Okay. Dear Larry, the Destructor's origin was pretty bad. Another laboratory freak in Long John's has been unleashed upon an unsuspecting world. Pretend you never heard this before, and listen carefully to what you expect us readers to buy. Hey, Pops, how's the mad scientist business going? Fine, son. It seems all my hard years of research have paid off just in time for me to get bumped off. Oh boy, Pop, does that mean I get to be a superhero? Any second now, son. Before I forget, I sewed a costume for you and it's hanging in the closet. Pop, you're too good to me. I don't deserve you. When Jay's father is slain by the mob, Jay gets a terrible guilt complex. The Destructor is born. Jay Hunter seems like a brash Peter Parker. You may have gathered that the first issue didn't impress me much. The second issue, however, was a great improvement. We'll get to this in a second, guys. The villain Death Grip outclassed the common mobsters of number 1. He provided more of a challenge to Jay Hunter's new powers. Just a few questions. Is there a possibility of a relationship between Jay and Brand's daughter Angela? And since Target the Manstalker is also sworn to destroy the mob, will the Destructor and Target team up in the future issues? Bob Downs, Arlington, Virginia. And the response from Larry, I believe at this point, was, let's take it slow in regard to the Destructor's future. In other words, you can take your pick. Either we want to keep you in suspense about a team up, or we're not sure yet ourselves. In either case, half the fun is getting there. Don't you think? So... there was probably 4 or 5 letters in the next issue as well. So I'd say about 2/3 were positive. And the nature of most of them were like, holy shit, Ditko? Goodwin? Wood? Holy shit. Holy shit.
Yeah, especially in issue 3.
Yeah.
The letters column was pretty funny.
Yeah, that made me laugh. So, a couple of people calling out like that guy did, just kind of like, this is a little tired. It's nice to see Ditko, but no one had a crossword to say about Ditko or Wood. I think the couple negative ones were just about the plot and the execution of the story. But so we gotta pull a what was that guy's name? Harvey. Now for the rest of the story. We need an audio sample to play.
Me too.
What was his name?
Shit.
Something Harvey.
No.
Someone will tell us.
Was it Paul
Harvey?
Paul
Thank
Harvey?
you.
Yes. Oof.
Save me an edit later.
Now, the rest of the story.
Okay, so as we mentioned at the beginning, this ran for a total of 4 issues. I read all of them today. I read the first issue several times over the last couple of weeks, but the other 3 I read today for the first time. So
me too.
They're all fresh on my mind. So what did you think? I want you to go first.
Weirdly enough, so, I liked the first issue. I did. But this seems to be a pattern that is happening. To where, the first issue was cool. It's table setting. I love the second issue. The third issue is okay, and then the fourth issue is just kind of dog shit, or at least, if not dog shit, it's just completely different than when the book started out. I liked issue 2. I'm slightly embarrassed that I liked issue 2, but I loved issue 2.
You know why you did? Because you're right.
Well, I figured you would too.
I loved issue 2. Issue 1's great for what it is, but it's very kind of by the numbers or rote. If you know Ditko and you know Silver Age Marvel Comics, then you kind of know where this is going, what it's doing. 2 is when it started to flesh it out. Then you get a love interest, and you get this conflicted character who seems like a villain, but he's actually got a layer to him, and he's trying to redeem himself. Like, I was totally into issue 2. I loved it.
Oh, I absolutely loved it. And it has that great Ditko thing too, to where it's just like, okay, how many characters have we met in this story? Oh, okay, let's say 6. Okay, well, there's a villain. He's in a mask. Like, oh, he's unmasked. He's not just going to be some guy like Ditko. We see, but Ditko wanted that, right? Yeah. He would want it to just be some guy.
Yep.
But he decided. He's just like, nope, and it's going to be one of the guys.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a little interesting, but it worked.
Yeah, I liked him going out to Vegas, kind of being sent out there, like almost being manipulated to go out there and fight another crime boss. I love that setup. I love the crime boss. I love his daughter. I liked Jay, the way he meets them. I just liked the whole goddamn thing. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I think Destructor issue 2 is my favorite comic I've read so far this season.
I think you're right. I think it's tied for Phoenix 3 with me because
Phoenix 3 was awesome.
was so awesome. But those are up there really high, man. Issue 3. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say Destructor 2. Like, I would read again.
Oh yeah,
like, I will read that again
me?
on my own.
No, it's legit fun.
Yeah.
Issue 3 was a bit of a dip for me. It's got a female Kraven the Hunter kind of clone that is hired by a bunch of mobsters in Vegas to go after Jay. And she's got a henchman named Lobo, who's like kind of a Beastmaster, or not Beastmaster, whatever, the Beastman, like from Masters of the Universe or something. He's kind of like mostly human. I don't know. I liked her design. I thought she looked cool. Looked like in a Kirby kind of way, like some kind of Thundra something thing, but like story was pretty forgettable.
Yeah, 3 made me kind of mad, actually, because I just loved 2 so much. And I was like, okay, I know it's going to suck by issue 4, but just give me a little something good.
Yeah.
And there was a little good about 3, but they just given up on everything we liked about issue 2 for like the back half of the issue is just kind of an uninspired fight.
Yep.
So I was not a fan of that. So what were your thoughts on number 4?
Wow. So number 4, they brought Jerry Conway in to write it. And I believe I read in Comic Book Artist, Jacob, that issue 3 was, it's credited to Ditko art, but actually had Frank Giacoya inks.
Yes. Yeah. Uncredited Giacoya inks are definitely in there.
And so for issue 4, Jerry Conway wrote it, Ditko did the pencils, and Al Milgrom, a young Al Milgrom, did the inks. Interesting to see Milgram's inks on him. I didn't hate it. I mean, after being spoiled by Wood, it was hard to transition to. It's a little more pedestrian looking, but I didn't hate it. Like, it wasn't like a, I don't know, like a Vinny.
I didn't hate it at all. I thought it was very, I didn't love it. That's probably just because, like you said, we were coming from Ditko and Wood.
Yeah.
But going back and reading it, just, because I read them all today again, or 2 for the first time, but then I went back and just was kind of looking through the art on 4. And it's weird. It's like nothing I'd ever seen before. Like Milgram on Ditko is strange.
Yeah.
It's a strange art style, which I liked, but I don't know. The story was shit, so I wasn't super into it.
Yeah. So I think we agree that. So 4. They completely change gears. Jay wakes up. He's confronted by a series of freaks called the Outcasts. There's a city, futuristic city inside of a mountain, and they explain that they were born in there. Their parents tried to make a utopia, and they had to have an energy source. So they hired this industrialist to make them like an atomic and a nuclear power plant essentially. And it was shoddily done, and so there's leakage, and then so they're mutants as a result. And they asked Jay to join them because he is clearly a mutant also, or something they think, and he's exposed to some of the radiation in that place. And so at the end of the issue, this is the Marvelizing. Now he has power beams he can shoot. That was the whole fucking point of the thing, was get him radiated so he can have more powers.
It's so dumb, and it literally just jettisons anything that's happened before.
Yep. It might as well be issue 0. Like,
it is issue 0. Like, yeah.
So
where's Angela?
Yeah, where's Angela? So I wanted to talk a little bit about this Ditko thing here. So Jerry Conway. Let me first find this here. Okay. So yeah, Conway takes over and it says, in that issue, this is issue 4, it explains that, like, basically that Caldwell is the guy on the left, the guy holding the attaché case, whatever it's called, the whatever. And he's supposed to be this industrialist who builds this thing in this flashback. So it's the Freak's parents who are talking about to him about, like, how, you need to make this thing and blah, blah, blah. And the way Conway wrote it was like, that, the industrialist is the bad guy. He does a shitty work. He doesn't make this utopian clean energy plant. He just kind of does shoddy work. And the parents, who are these people who choose to live, like, try and start a utopia, so they're bohemians or whatever, are, outraged, and they eventually, because of this, they're irradiated, they're given cancer business, so they rise up and kill him. So Conway wrote that. That's the script Conway gave to Ditko. And Ditko, of course, being a Randian philosopher, said, so the industrialist is the good guy, so I'm going to draw him standing up straight. He's all clean shaven and he looks well put together. And the utopian hippie people, one's fat, he has no chin, the woman, like, slouches and looks like she's in the Addams Family, and there's, like, a worse looking guy next to him. So he can't have liberal people or bohemian people or hippies or anyone be a good person, so they have to look ugly, because in his mind they are ugly. So they get increasingly angry and just look inhuman. They're freaking out, they're spitting, they're frothing at the mouth, they have no eyes behind their glasses, like Doc Ock, because eyes are humanizing, and Ditko doesn't want you to see them as humans, so he's making them look like animals. And so they're just freaking out, and again they get even more increasingly inhuman looking in their rage, and then they eventually beat him to death with a pipe. But yeah, I mean, in this book, there's a great sequence on this where Zach Cruzy talked to Conway on Twitter and transcribed some of this conversation where he's like, did you know anything about this? He's like, and Jerry's just like, no, but I'm not, I gave a full script to Ditko. Like, this was not a back and forth. There was no whatever. Like, I gave him a script. I wrote the words you see on there, and he did what you saw. And he's like, I'm not surprised at all that he did that. I knew he has a rep for doing that, and I'm, no surprise. So, yeah, final thoughts.
Well, I mean, we've both been pretty effusive about the art through this whole thing, for sure, because it was awesome. But like we were saying in the, talking about the other 3 issues, number 2 is definitely our favorite. 1, the Ditko art with Wally Wood inks is fucking incredible. Story's a little rote, a little corny at times, but it made me laugh a lot. So, yeah, I don't know. At least for me, this issue was a big win for me. Yeah.
To be honest, I had kind of a hard time with it the first time through. Like, I felt like this was so familiar and such a throwback to the Silver Age that my mind was kind of wandering, and I was maybe reading at the end of the day when I was a little tired. I don't know, but like, I found myself chunking it out. Like, just read 2 more pages, and you can take a break. You can go take Hallie for a walk, and you can come back and get a seltzer, and they sit down and read 5 more pages. Like, I was chunking it out. Like, I was having a hard time getting through it. The second time, not so much when I was taking notes, but like talking with you, it's a chance to like really talk about how great the art is when you're just sitting there in a chair. Just going, wow, Ditko's great, isn't he? Like, it's not the same. So, no. The story is more important to me when I'm reading by myself, and when I'm talking about it with somebody else, obviously the art, is supreme. So I had a much different experience this third or fourth time I read through it, and liked it a lot more, but it's still not the greatest story in the world. Beautiful art. Can't beat the art team. And issue 2 is fucking amazing.
Yeah. Goddamn. I just love issue 2. I can't talk about it more. I just love it. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, but this is one of those things to where just the stupendous art team just transcends any clunkiness. And the clunkiness is there for sure.
Yep.
But it was just a gorgeous delight to witness. So I was very happy with this.
Me too. Yeah, I can see. I think it deserves the rep it has of being one of the better books of the line based on the art.
Just on the art, yeah, it probably is the best book in the. I don't know. We haven't seen Scorpion yet.
Yeah, well, we do have some horror mags coming up with like
that's
people
true.
they poached from like Warren. So, but I guess if we're just talking about comics, right? We are saying revenge is a dish best served in 4 colors. So.
4 color.
The main stuff is the comics. So yeah, probably the best art team I think we're going to probably get.
I can't see anyone being better.
Yeah, I guess the thing that just kind of set me back on my heels a bit was like just hearing the love for it as being one of the better of the line of not a great line, but whatever. But like just like I was hoping the story was up to snuff of the art, and it wasn't. So that kind of took me aback.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, should we talk about what's up next?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited.
Yes, so we have our first magazine. We did do Gothic romances. That was something we did for the pack members and the Star Gods before the season started. That was the first thing that Seaboard periodicals put out, and it was mostly text. Just had some spot illustrations from Neil Adams and other folks, Howard Chaykin. It was we had a lot of fun, actually. We read a bunch of stuff aimed at like nursing students and like teenage girls, and it was sleazy and weird, and some of it was really well written, some was awfully written and sleazy as hell. We had a blast though, but that was our first magazine. This is our first comics magazine of the Atlas Seaboard stuff, and it's Devilina, and I'm looking forward to this. We're going to have pack member Ben Potter on. He's a Portlander as well, and we've talked to him several times on like live streams and stuff like that. He's a great guy, and we said we got to have you on the show final season, and he chose this. He wanted to talk about this. So I'm stoked. We still need to work out how we're going to do a 66-page magazine.
I know.
So, but I mean, artists this issue, Rick Estrada, we've seen. I really like Rick Estrada. Pablo Marcos, we can't say enough good things about. I've discovered Ralph Reese personally in the last like few months, going through Hunt of Horror or some other Marvel Curtis black and white horror mag, and his art's gorgeous. So I can't wait to see that. I think we saw some Leo Summers in spot illustrations of Gothic romances, but I might be wrong there.
I can't remember.
But we know John Albano. And I know Martin Pasco, but I don't know why. But there's 8 stories. So I'm proposing that Jacob, you pick one, I pick one, and Ben pick one, and we actually go through those individual stories like we would a normal comic issue since they're short. And then just kind of do real quick kind of just talk throughs of the remainders, just kind of like what we thought of them, what the synopsis of them, and maybe show a tiny bit of art, but not really review them fully.
Yeah. No, that sounds good. That sounds like a good plan.
So I'm excited. This is their kind of answer to Vampirella, apparently. I think this had a different title. Like when it was promoted, it had a different name, and then they realized like Vampirella is selling a lot of magazines, so let's get this Devilina person here on the cover and
Devilina.
Change the name. So yeah, looking forward to that. But if you do support us as a Patreon backer, there is something that's coming up next. We're going to talk about issue 2, a quick review of the first couple issues, basically, of Skull the Slayer. Kind of talk about that Marvel book that existed from 75 to 76 that was created by Marv Wolfman, an idea that he sat on for a while and brought to Marvel when he came over from DC, and took a while to come to fruition. And it's got art by Steve Gan. I don't know how you say his name. He's a Chinese-born Filipino artist who is a special guy. I love his stuff.
Yeah. So
yeah, this is something that I picked as a future season when we were just like, we could do this till we drop dead. And bought the trades and never got around to reading it. And so we're like, well, we got to review this. At least we bought the trades. So I'm excited to talk about it. I have thoughts.
Yeah, me too.
So we'll be doing that on the bonus show. So you can on the Shadow Show. So back us on Patreon and get that and the other 110 episodes. You'll love it. You'll have 0 regrets. If nothing else, you can just sign up for a month and download all of them and then cancel.
That is an option. That's always an option. And we're fine with that.
I don't care.
We can't stop you.
Yeah. Can't stop, won't stop.
No.
Okay, so if you aren't following us on social, we'd love for you to do that and hear from you there. We're on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. Just go there and search for us. You can find us easily. Or you can go to patreon.com/Bronze Age Monsters and back us. Again, we really appreciate that support. And lastly, the big thing here for this platform, if you can leave a comment, tell us something down below, and like this video, and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. That would really help us out. Get this show in front of other people's eyes who like similar things to you and spread the word. We would love that. All right, Jacob. I think we did the Destructor.
Yeah, we did. I had a lot of fun.
Me too. Yeah, I again, folks, if you didn't glean, if nothing else, get the first 2 issues from archive.org. You will not regret it. Well worth your time and your eyeballs. Okay, well, thanks for joining us this week, and until we see you next time, stay bronze, Pony Boy. Stay bronze.